been a lot of amazing ski seasons in the past. Some may think back to the winters of 06, 11, 17, and 19. Remember the incredible sights of the buried West Coast. But as time keeps ticking on, you always wonder if such winters would be the last one you'd see. I, too, thought this when the time came to begin thinking about the coming season. Wondered if I'd be around to experience a big winter with the camera in hand. The past seasons mentioned took place before the days of the channel, and my true passion for the sport. Coupled with the life-changing start to the new decade, filming has taken over my life and ignited my love for the mountains. Now we come to this season. Hoping for a big one, this winter went off. One of the biggest winters in the Sierras and record-breaking snow totals across the U.S., this season was one to remember. The famous Sierra playground that is Squaw Valley was our focus for the winter. With 45 total days skied, 14 hours of season content, 723 inches of snow at Squaw, and skiing to July, it's going to be hard to top this winter in the future. All we can do is hope Mother Nature continues to pump out storms like this in the coming years. Remembering the season isn't always filled with good memories for me, though. For context, back in 2020, my life was flipped upside down after a scary hospitalization with IBD. Since then, there have been many ups and downs, and this season has been no different. Allow me to tell you the story of the season, highs and lows included. To establish a basis for the season, allow me to express how utterly destroyed I was over the summer. After publishing episode 33 of season 4, my health declined significantly and it was basically a loss of 6 months to the year. Recovery was decent, so when a Sierra storm carrying 51 inches landed in mid-November, we took no time in starting the next season. Episode 1 happened November 18th at Squaw. Who would have guessed we'd encounter early season conditions? The twist was how powdery the snow stayed despite a week between the storm and opening day. And with that, season 5 was off. Hiking Siberia Ridge from Gold Coast would have to be the highlight of the day. Although the area was mostly tracked out, the effort you put into hiking contributes to the radness of the run, since you worked hard to get there. You could almost feel the rider's energy on an opening day. It's contagious. Unsurprisingly, a dry spell followed episode 1 in the weeks after. Not too much change health-wise since opening day. What did change was the month. The final month of 2022 started off strong with 20 inches in 24 hours. This December holds a special place in my heart purely for nostalgic purposes. Great episodes were set during the jolly period. So, to profit off the 20 inches, the crew hits up Alpine Meadows with some friends to pal slash, crash, all in a flash. With December 2nd kicking off a myriad of storms in the Sierras, it felt special to shred each day with fantastic conditions. Many funny moments, the general local feel, and the hyper powder made Alpine the right resort for episode 2 of the season. The terrain offered was also a bit better than Squaw. However, this was most certainly not the case when the storm broke on December 7th as we drove our way up into the valley. Although KT wasn't open yet, the reverse traverse was, and with 105 inches to the season, the NAR was up for grabs. Even though it's episode 3 and wicked early in the season, this is gotta be one of my favorite days I've had. The atmosphere, the terrain, and the fact that it's only December 7th. Hitting Siberia cliffs in the morning, then hiking the reverse traverse 4 times to head wall in the slot, and ending it off with one hell of a cloud cover. Truly one of the best days of my career. Shout out to Gramps for the next segment. On December 11th, we embarked on an epic trip into the heartland of Alberta, Canada.
See the sunrise over her skin, don't change it. See the sunrise over her skin, don't change it. And the built sun burns bright.
Last season before my diagnosis had us visiting Banff National Park for the first time. The channel was just getting started, and with it being the 18-19 season, it's no surprise everything we did was memorable. So, almost 3 years later, we made the 2-day trip once more. I believe this was the trip that marked my inevitable decline in my condition that would eat away at me for the rest of the season. Still, like always, I powered through it to bring you 4 more episodes. We hit up Sunshine Village, Lake Louise, and Kicking Horse this time. Even with the historically low snow year, the trip still went ahead. And what a time we had.
I used to write letters, I used to sign my name. I used to sleep at night before the flashing lights settled deep in my brain. But by the time we met, the times had already changed. 'Cause used to wait for letters to arrive, but what's stranger still is how something so small can keep you alive. We used to wait, we used to waste hours just walking around. We used to wait, all those wasted lives in the wilderness downtown.
As we skied our way through the trip, it's hard not to notice the low coverage on each mountain. Still, Banff excels in that pristine champagne snow. And although it's not very good for building a base, the quality of the snow on this trip turned out to be phenomenal.
Sometimes they never came. Sometimes they never came. Still moving through the pain.
A thing to know for this trip was the temperature. The resort regularly closed down due to unbearably cold temperatures, but fortunately the park warmed up just in time for our arrival, with it swiftly dropping back into the negatives after departing. Shout out to Banff Rocky Mountain Resort for the housing.
Now our lives are changing fast. Now our lives are changing fast.
After 4 days of playing around in Banff National Park, it was time to journey back to California. Another storm had been attacking the Sierras, dropping 58 inches while we were gone. It's a bummer we didn't get to enjoy the famous steeps the resorts were known for, and Goat's Eye even opened the day we left at sunshine, but with our eyes set on a fully open mountain back home, it wasn't too hard to say goodbye. After an incredible return to Squaw back in Season 4, a new tradition was born. It said that the return to the valley after an extensive trip would be a day to look forward to. Year 2 did not disappoint.
Where to go and what to do. Wasted hours that you make new and turn into a life that we can live. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I waited patiently for the Lord, in time and had my kind. He brought me up out of the pit, out of the miry clay. I will sing a new song. I will sing a new song. How long to sing their song? How long to sing their song? How long? To sing their song?
I cannot express to you how special this episode was. December 20th, 4 days before Christmas, and all the steeps at our fingertips, skiing from bell to bell. This was an amazing day. We even had to take the solitude chair out of the backside because Shirley Lake could close at 3:30.
Sing a new song. I will sing a new song. I will sing a new song. I will sing a new song.
With 163 inches to the season, it's safe to say we were in the glory days. And next up was the Utah Series. While having the most snow in America and actively being hammered upon arrival, the Cottonwood Canyons will be our stomping grounds for the next 4 days during the Utah Series. Buried by the greatest snow on Earth, the Wasatch Range provided some of the most iconic days of the season. Enjoy episodes 9 through 12.
For the time that will come.
Alta had just surpassed 300 inches at the time the new year hit. To compare, back home, Squaw sat at 232 inches. There was no shortage of coverage, and so we opened up new zones, skied old classics, and just skied a lot of PAL. As with the storm that closes down the canyons, there was a lot of snow. The visibility was rough at times, but we had one good sunny day at Solitude. The highlight of the series definitely had to be the spiny chutes. The combination of encompassing trees and the saturated brown rocks makes this zone a pleasure to shred through.
Hold on tightly. Hold on. Don't let go of my love. The storm will pass. It won't be long now. This love will last. This love will last forever.
We had a great time in the Cottonwoods, but the Sierras were calling us back once more. The turn of the year was an especially active time storm-wise. By the time we made it back to Squaw, they had picked up 132 inches in the past 2 weeks. That's 11 feet. Brief clearings allowed for safe travel to and from Utah, and with all that snowfall, it was only a matter of time before the Silverado zone opened.
Dude, that was sick. Yeah. That was freaking awesome.
While not every storm was fabulous, and the majority of the recent storm came in as rain, nobody could argue that the amount of snow is incredible. One thing that I've come to keep an eye on over the season is the light towers. A massive hunk of rock that came to be buried under 19 feet of snow during the height of the snowpack. It really puts the record-breaking snow totals into perspective. Another good thing to pay attention to is the Palisades. You know when the box is skiable, it's been a good year. So, with the buried mountain as our playground, and a set of replenishing storms throughout January and February, it was time to ski the good shit.
Your eyes are burning holes through me. I'm gasoline. I'm burning clean. 20th century go to sleep. You're plasticine. That is obscene. That is obscene. You are the star tonight. Sun electric out of sight. The light eclipse the moon tonight. Electrolyte. You're out of sight. If I ever want to fly Mulholland Drive, I am alive. Hollywood is under me. I'm Martin Sheen. I'm Steve McQueen. I'm Jimmy Dean. You are the star tonight. Sun electric out of sight. The light eclipse the moon tonight. Electrolyte.
These episodes, I believe, hold some of the best days we've had at Squaw Pine. A cumulative of 89 inches fell during this period, ending with a big break before what came next in March. We skied squally wood zones, toured the Palisades, and acquired many face shots over the early months of 2023. The best days are when the winds are ripping, kicking up snow in your wake, grabbing deep face shots on your go-to steep run, and all the while surrounded by deep blue and pure white colors of the prime winter season. My condition did quite well during this time, except for the very end, just in time for the dry spell. The others still got after it though.
You are the star tonight, sun electric out of sight, light eclipse the moon tonight, electrolyte, you're out of sight.
After a relatively dry early February, winter was ready to surge once more, and as we tried to say goodbye to the West Coast again, it seemed a bit harder than last time. Not because of the mountain or its terrain, but because starting February 22nd, a monster storm would ravage the Sierras, closing down the roads, destroying buildings, and flooding streets. 283 inches would be dumped over the 4 weeks between our squaw days. That's 28 feet. Incredible. It wasn't all West Coast storms though. Alta had been well on their way to smashing their all-time record at the time of our trip.
I'm not scared, I'm out of here.
So, with the resort sitting at a little over 650 inches, and the Sierra roads opening so we could get through, the Springtime Series was a go. Enjoy episodes 21 through 24.
Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep, we will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. It's my own design. It's my own remorse. Help me to decide. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule. There's a room where the light won't find you. Holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. When they do, I'll be right behind you. So glad we've almost made it. So sad they had to fade it. Everybody wants to rule.
Although the skiing during most of the series was phenomenal, my health had taken root behind the scenes of the videos. I was feeling horrible during the visit to the canyons, and that's why the video was so short. I basically didn't ski at all. Still, I made sure all my energy went into providing great content for the other 3 days. Skiing Death Chute, Eddie's High Nowhere, the Chamonix and Fossil Chutes, a lot of bucket list items. This trip marked the steep decline in my health that would have me needing steroids to combat the inflammation, and even then it didn't help. The rest of March would be painful, and so not many episodes were held during the month to take advantage of the monster storms. Anyway, heading back March 12th, with the roads cleared and the monster storm tapering off, another trip to Utah was in the books.
Rip it! Yeah! Dude, rice we're going
into that, I got the wind blast too and almost was like, whoa.
The day is March 24th. At the height of the Squaw snowpack, an 18-foot base that is, we make the last-minute decision to risk it and head up to shred 5 inches fresh despite being extremely ill. So, stoked off steroids, we journey up 11:45 a.m. to get to Buried Mountain. This is what happened.
Out here in the fields, I fight for my meals. I get my back into my living. I don't need to fight to prove I'm right. I don't need to be forgiven.
Even though we didn't ski too much on this day, the whole atmosphere around the mountain was pretty cool. I'm gonna make a whole separate video to cover this day in full, just to document the sheer amount of snow that this mountain had been buried under. I wanted to drop the tube on this day, but the light wasn't good and the mood didn't feel right. We would tackle it later on, but for now, only the box was skied.
I just skied box and now I'm gonna go have a plate of nachos. I have to ask you, how was that run?
Teenage wasteland. Sally, take my hand. We'll travel some cross land. Put out the fire and don't look past my shoulder. The exodus is here. The happy ones are near. Let's get together before we get much older.
After one Squaw episode in March, it was time we traveled once more. Still extremely sick and nearing the end of my steroid dose, we drove to Montana for the yearly Big Sky trip. Last year's trip was quite simply epic. 3 days of blue skies, good snow, and gnarly terrain. While being barely functional myself, we still expected the trip to be decent. Turns out you can't win them all.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Instead, we were greeted with 3 days of rough visibility, mediocre conditions, and average terrain. At least that's what it felt like. We still ripped the crap out of that mountain.
If you come again, I'll be sure to say
One thing nobody could argue was the coverage. Having their third biggest season in the past 10 years, it was a nice change to see more consistent terrain openings and less rocks across the mountain. One run on my ski when I go pro is Hell's Half Acre, and to see it almost skiable this year, when it usually has 2 drops, is pretty cool. Of course, with the cloudy conditions, freshies were also a part of the trip, and we were quite thankful when the sun poked out on the final day. Although I was shut out from Great Falls for a second year in a row, I still had some phenomenal snow off North Summit. Skiing the Big was also a surprise. Day 3 really saved the trip.
There, I was like, hit that one and just big long powder turns. I was like, went up, side of the lip, dropped in, shredded some more. Catch up.
Wrap the jasmine round my bones, blood moon for me, darling in the sea. If I don't make
Behind the scenes, I was struggling. The abnormal run times of each episode was a direct result of my energy during the trip. Still, to get off runs in the headwaters, the sign outs off Lone Peak, and a little bit of powder here and there, it really helped me through the trip. None of my medications were working properly, and I was barely holding on. With such a great place to ski, it was really demotivating to be hurting with such a mountain in front of me. Whatever the experience, after the 3 days were up, it was once again time to journey back west. An incredible winter qualified for a legendary spring skiing season. And as we said goodbye to Big Sky in the month of March, it was time for the Great Thaw. Against all odds, I found a treatment that provided some relief from the pain, and just in time for a second visit to River Ranch. This time, we'd be skiing ice and slush over 3 days, visiting Squaw, Alpine, and Heavenly. And although not every day went according to plan, the videos provide a good documentation of the epic snowpack and its melting process. This is why we call it the Great Thaw. Every night the snow freezes, but the next day, when the sun beats hard in the afternoon, it melts a little off the top, resulting in some decent slush skiing. But there's still a lot of ice involved.
Summer, summer, summer. It's like a merry-go-round. I see you under the midnight, all shackles and bows. High shoes with the cleats clicking, a temple now glow. Oh, don't you let me go.
We had a tough time with ice. Following the sun, we skied fewer zones than we wanted, and even got shut out from alpine steeps on the final day. Seeing an epically buried Keyhole and Beaver Bowl was unreal, but for patrol to close the terrain down after opening it all up for 15 minutes in the morning, well, to say we were cheated was an understatement. We were also baited into thinking Granite Peak was open, when it wasn't. That's enough dwelling though. It was time for the spring Mammoth trip. We made it our mission to ski Squaw in the morning, then travel to Mammoth in the afternoon, ski 2 days at Mammoth, and then drive back to ski Squaw again in the afternoon. It was a fun one. Mammoth was alright. The ice in the mornings really kept us off the desired train for the trip. The Eagle Lodge would open on the weekends for a few days in April, and with this brought the Cloud9 chair. In previous years, the zone would be closed, but this year we were lucky enough to discover the area open, just without patrol supervision. Sucks I'd eat shit on the groomers and tweak my knee for the rest of the day. Still, it was a decent trip overall. Skiing hangmans, huevos, paranoids, and even in late April, Felipe's was still filled in. A big difference from last year's coverage that resulted in it becoming the hardest run of the season.
I'm good.
On the way back from Mammoth, we set our eyes on the nose chutes, and with an assault on the west face the likes of which you've never seen before, the great Thaw concluded and the legendary Maydays began. After 723 inches total for the season, the upper mountain stayed buried well into May. Tube was actually more skiable than after the March storms. Watching the snow melt was a little sad, but seeing all the new features emerging for the first time in months was pretty cool. KT stayed open until 5 p.m. on Saturdays and skied right up until closing on the Squaw side. The light towers melted quickly, but we got 2 more lines off before they were gone. I can confidently say these Maydays topped any other spring skiing season we've had.
We'll find a way.
Squaw side would be closing earlier than Alpine this year, and with the massive winter, it calls for skiing till the 4th of July. We wouldn't be there for Squaw's closing day, but we hit up the mountain one last time for the pond skim on May 20th. We'd already made plans to continue the spirit of the season and head up to Oregon to experience Mount Bachelor's closing weekend. It was a fun one this year, so many new lines tackled Squaw. And although they most certainly could have stayed open till the 4th, a project on the fun to tell was destined to close the side down. Oh well, on to the next one. Last year's Oregon trip denied us access from the summit zone at Mount Bachelor. It seems every year we go, storm greets us as we try to ski their terrain. And even this year, during Memorial Weekend, rain still gnawed at our trip. Still, we picked our days carefully and ended up scoring some summit. Bachelor had a good snow year too, and even nearing June, there were still plenty of interesting chutes to ski.
Put it down to the fighting. Put it down to the fools who play the game. I'm picking up second sides. I'm picking up tired ways. But you better believe it. Oh, you better believe before it's too late. I'm feeling like letting go. I'm living in a dangerous state.
Mount Bachelor's bowls off the summit lift may be fun on powder days, but skiing them in the spring here was wicked fun. Super fast skiing and fun little chutes. There's a hike to the top of the mountain, and that accesses most of Mount Bachelor's expert terrain. But the east bowls are accessed off the lift, and they rip.
Coming out of the shadows, coming out of the darkness into the light. It's bright enough to show the way, enough to face another day. It's a curious feeling. It's a feeling of reaching up to the sky. I'll never think of letting go, of living in a dangerous time.
A good close off to May. In another cruel twist of fate, the same need took a boulder to the bone on the last day. This time it hurt much more and canceled the day. Real poor luck seems to follow us in the spring season. Oh, and I kind of forgot, but my condition had been steadily getting better after the new treatment. I'd hit rock bottom in March and it was all up from there. As you've seen, we spared no time getting right back at the knock. Yep. Well, after our 2 days were up, the second of which being Bachelor's closing day, we trekked back home. The June days were on the horizon, and with Alpine Meadows still covered in snow June 2nd, we began setting a record for the latest day on snow each time we went up. The 4 June days and 1 July day, the first of which had us ripping the mountain like it was mid-season, we began to close out the year.
That's how it starts. We go back to your house. You check the charts and start to figure it out. And if it's crowded all the
My health had finally shifted to the back seat, and I felt free for the first time in a while. Watching the snow melt away and skiing it in June was unreal. Such a great winter in the Sierras, and it really reflected in these days. There were lots of funny moments, epic late season runs, wipeouts, and even for my birthday, which I never thought I'd be skiing on, we seized the occasion and skied and surfed in the same day. That's crazy to think about. These final days of the season really felt special.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father.
The 2022-23 season will be one to remember in the coming years. Through thick and thin, we skied some of the most gnarly terrain across the U.S. Snow coverage was an afterthought for most of the season, and many face shots were had. I know most of you watching have probably lost that spark for the ski season, but as I'm stuck here, recording in my parents' closet, I wanted to document our best year skiing I've had as a skier. And although the memories of the past seasons have been long since forgotten, I hope to keep the memories of these ones well into the future. I want to thank my friends behind the scenes for supporting me, and my parents for allowing things to happen. How I could never imagine skiing without my dad, who's no doubt the best skiing partner I could have. For my mom, who sticks with me even after skiing the craziest shit imaginable. Thanks, you two.
Dude, that was freaking fun.
Yeah. As my ski videos are coming to an end, I can finally get out of the editing dungeon and live a little more. It's time we shifted into summer content. Yes, I know, I'm behind as fuck, and even then there are still a few more ski edits planned. Well, for now, this is John Squaw, signing off.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Ring out the bells again, like we did when spring began. Wake me up when September ends. Here comes the